Hello, everyone. Harry here to talk about more evidence in the Fulton County investigation and what it tells us about what Fani Willis might be actually looking into. So we know for a certainty, based on all the witnesses and just based on the evidence we've all heard again and again, that a central part of the case is Trump's strong arming. There's probably even more precise words, completely bludgeoning the Georgia Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to come up with 11,780 votes. That's all he needs, 11,780 votes. And that, of course, is sort of a pristine kind of election fraud. We know that those votes weren't cast, and so he's badgering him to just manufacture them. So we've been focused on that quite a bit. We've also been focused, or at least surmised, that there's a phony elector scheme in play. That is, people who in Georgia were plotting to or even volunteering to be Trump electors, even though there weren't Trump electors, Trump having lost the state. So that's been a part of it. But now we have new reporting that gives a sort of third area. And just as an important point of background, remember, Emily Coors, the foreperson, and her 15-minute PR tour, she made it pretty clear that at least the special grand jury had recommended something like 15 indictments. And while many of those are household names, she suggested some aren't, meaning some are local Georgia names. So who could be a local Georgia person? Maybe phony electors. That could be one of them. We know that the head of the Republican Party in Georgia is resigning his position, I believe, but has indicated he may be a target. And we know that Rudy Giuliani has been told he's a target. But we now know that in front of the grand jury, a local Georgia attorney by the name of Robert Cheeley testified, and that's important in its own stead, but for what it shows about where Fani Willis is going. Cheeley is a guy who, in the aftermath of the election in November and December, went to the Georgia authorities and just fed him a bunch of horse manure. He showed them a video from a polling place that purported to be double and triple counting of votes. Of course, there was a very innocent explanation. It's what happens when the feed isn't clean and they have to put it back in. He likened the whole election fraud, as he put it, to the attack on Pearl Harbor. And he generally was sounding the alarm about all that had happened. Why is that significant? Because we know other people did the same thing. And if that's where Fani Willis is going, a whole third area, we can anticipate other people, in particular, Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis. They go down to Georgia as well and feed the legislature a whole pack of lies. And that would potentially, I mean, when it came up, it always seemed, if you were doing a kind of law school analysis on it, is that a conspiracy to commit election fraud? So they go down there and tell them, a lot of trash. It could be the kind of thing you can imagine that with a lot of stuff that she's juggling, Fani Willis just, uses as atmosphere. But it could, in fact, be a concrete third area, and that area would encompass almost certainly Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, and potentially the President of the United States and Mark Meadows, because if it's charged as a conspiracy and it's Mark Meadows, and he does go down to Georgia as well, and the then president said, go on down there and tell them what a fraud it is, and tell them to, just express some doubts and the Republican members of Congress and I will do the rest. So that could be a whole separate set of crimes. We know in general that Fani Willis is spreading a much broader net than, for example, Alvin Bragg, who is really poised now, is at the last step of an indictment. Fani Willis has been rumored to do anything from Justice Corps Raffensperger shakedown by Trump to a RICO charge under state law, meaning calling out Trump and the Trump organization as the equivalent of a mob, a racketeer, a business that is really about breaking the law, and that has certain advantages in terms of the evidence it gets in, but it can be a tough proof as well. So the big significance of Cheeley is that it shows one area of inquiry that we hadn't focused on so closely to date. Coors, the foreperson, said, in her series of kind of coy hints, I'm not saying anything, and then proceeding to say things, said Cheeley, yes, that's one witness I won't forget. So whatever the Delphic message is there, it at least suggests that he very much came into their under their radar screen, and that might mean so did the whole area of monkey business with to include Giuliani, Meadows, Ellis, and the like. So do we see that as part of the indictment? Just generally, remember, this has now been imminent for quite some time, and there's good reason to believe that she's making final decisions about just how broad a net she wants to drop on Trump and company. But if it's what the special grand jury recommended, it starts with like 15 people, and it includes the shakedown, it includes probably phony electors, and now it may include just the going down and trying to hoodwink or strong arm the Georgia legislature. Okay, so there you go. The word there I think we'll be learning about pretty soon, though it does look as if Alvin Bragg will be stealing Fani Willis's thunder and be the first out of the box with the American history's first indictment of a former president. I've suggested that, a couple months from now, that won't loom so large. It'll there'll be a couple cases, and who knows when Jack Smith, a third, might also, jump into the pool with probably a Mar-a-Lago case. So keep your eyes open for the indictment and charges from Fulton County, and see whether they include a whole area of activity of basically fraud by trying to put one over on the Georgia legislature and get them to, based on false information, say maybe something's wrong here, and a whole series of downhill moves from there to get Trump to, try to push things back to the states where his cronies would do their dirty work. Alrighty, so I'll be looking at that for as soon as the Willis charges issue. We know that's pretty soon, but she's kept us waiting, and I don't expect that it'll be in the next few days, but I do expect that the Alvin Bragg one will be possibly tomorrow. It depends on how long Michael Cohen's testimony takes, and more likely, if not tomorrow, next Monday. So a lot to keep our eyes on. I'll be doing it from my perch here. Until then, talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.